good evening to you, South Africa, and to everybody that is live with me in the Standard Bank building in Rosebank. Let us hear it for our fantastic, beautiful audience of ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, watching from Facebook on the Standard Bank page live and from my YouTube channel live, and I know also my TikTok is streaming somewhere else. So to all audiences, welcome to the wrap-up and the lessons from the Why She Leads podcast series with Standard Bank. And what a phenomenal series it was. Let's give it up to Standard Bank for making sure we have conversations for women in Women's Month and that we have women in leadership roles. Big round of applause for Standard Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, because the gents are here, the show's about to begin. All I can tell you is we have a fantastic panel of ladies. And in our first briefing session, I was so concerned because they were talking so much. So we might be here till 2 a.m., but you will walk out with some phenomenal lessons along the way. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, the show has officially begun.
If you really are focused and you can see the stories of the people who've also come from humble beginnings, but look at where they are now. Why can't that be you?
I've been helped by others before, and I take the time to help others.
I'm a big believer in the fact that we have to send the elevator down, something that hasn't been done in the past and that women have just got to learn to own.
What's the most important thing you've learned in your journey so far?
Put your best foot forward every day. Do not just skim the surface. You have to go in 100%. Stop sweating the small stuff. Focus on what's important.
Stop trying to listen to those voices that are giving you negative feedback.
I'm living actually the dream of my parents and the dream of myself.
Representation matters, and the role of mentors is actually incredibly important.
It's the people around me, right? It's people that makes work fun.
A girl has to have various tribes, you know, like as a girl, as a woman, you need to have at least a minimum of 3 tribes.
What would you say to your 20-year-old, knowing what you know now?
It is okay not to be a fighter for everyone.
It's okay to fail and not be worried about some of those failures that we worry about as ladies.
A moment of celebration with the tea, high five, and then pause and say, look how far we've come, and let's show up tomorrow again and do it again. That is why you can win year after year and year and year.
Let's introduce our very first panelist. And of course, we got an opportunity to see highlights of that podcast series, Why She Leads, together with Standard Bank. If you have not had an opportunity to watch it, please go and do so. Our first speaker, give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Head Strategic Partnership Global Markets, Linde Gadzedze.
Thank
Babes,
you,
how are you?
fantastic. Is this thing on?
We're testing. Yeah, I can hear you. How are you doing?
Fantastic, I'm happy.
You're happy, you're excited to be here?
Totally.
I am going to come to you because in a moment, because this woman's energy, if you don't know this woman, her energy is fire, it is contagious, it has given me life, it has made me excited, but we're coming back because I need to know the global markets. In as much as in this room we're sitting with ladies and gents who understand the banking world, to everybody watching at home, don't worry, we'll explain to you. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is Gillian Van Dijk, Executive Head, Non-Financial Institutions at Transactions Banking.
I love that.
Hi, Mo. Gillian, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, and you, Lebo?
I'm doing well. Ladies, can I just tell you, while my makeup artist was doing my face, Gillian said to me her daughter did her face. Yes. And I was like, I could have saved on the makeup budget, but my son is 4, so I don't know if I can trust him to do my makeup. Gillian, I'm so glad that you are with us. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, that joins us on this panel, Phagama Mbikwana, Executive Vice President, Infrastructure Coverage. And Phagama, how are you? Ukhona sisi.
Yes.
Andithethi isiXhosa. Kodwa ndiyazama. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, our final speaker that joins us, Head Strategic Partnership, Global Markets, Lindega Z. Apologies, she's already here.
You clearly love me too much.
Renze Tembo, Executive Vice President, Energy and Infrastructure and Investment Banking. How are you doing?
I'm not Leeds.
Listen, we have to check that everybody's awake and focused. We have to hear the oh, then we know everybody's listening. But let's get into what is quite an important part of the conversation. I'm going to go down the line and ask all of you ladies to just explain your titles. Those of us that don't work in the financial sector, in the banking sector, we might find challenges just in terms of understanding exactly what your role is. I know when I was looking, I was like, listen, all I want to know when it comes to the banking and financial sector is when am I going to be rich? The rest, I expect the professionals to handle it. So, Lindega, just in terms of your strategic partnership, global markets, what does that mean?
It's made up. But really all I focus on is how can we deploy capital into impactful opportunities on the continent, and we partner with the people that have those funds that we can actually deploy. The rest does not matter. It's all about developing Africa. That's all I care about.
Now, you were one of the individuals that were a part of the Why She Leads conversation. Did you guys notice her on the banner behind me? Do you see how she transformed? Right? That's the beauty about being able to change your hair, you change your life. Please just share with us what the experience was like being on the podcast.
It was actually not a good day when I did it, but it was an amazing experience to connect with people who are not normally in the rooms with us.
Yes.
And to be able to reach, especially for me, coming from the villages, I always wish that we could touch people that actually need to hear us the most, people that oftentimes don't find people that they can relate to. Look at this now. You know, I've got Dawn and Shield. They don't recognize me from my village. So you want to make sure that they know that you are here, me, I am actually them. I've just been here a bit longer. So you want to make sure you can touch people that actually are keen to do what we're doing, but make it relatable to them as well.
I'm so glad that you shared that. I am proudly Wanyana kwa Limpopo, ke wa ga Mabuja. Retswa North. And I think it's important. Shine, Sesi. Shine, Mukhadibo. Shine, Sesi. I think it's important that we share those stories because representation matters, not just in terms of women being seen in positions where little girls can admire, but little girls that can see, oh, she grew up here. So if she can make it, then I can make it as well. Gillian, please explain what your role entails as executive head, non-bank financial institutions, transactional banking. It sounds like the most specialized of departments I've ever heard of in my life.
Well, what can I say, Lebo? Transaction banking is obsessed with how we can help our clients manage their daily flows.
Yes.
Money coming in, money going out, so that just like you said, they can be rich at the end of the day. Excuse me. So I love being part of transaction banking, been in it for over 30 years, and hopefully we'll continue to be there so that we can delight our clients. When you think of our payoff line, Africa is our home, we drive her growth. If you consider the amount of flows that go in and out of Africa, and on this continent every single day, and how money moves around on behalf of our clients, it's incredible to be part of that engine, that team that puts it all together, and at the end of the day can help our clients take care of their cash flow activities. So non-bank financial institutions is really just a long word for any organization that needs a license in which to operate. For example, an insurer, a pension fund, an asset manager, etc. So we look after a particular niche set of clients, and we make sure that we completely understand their markets and immerse ourselves in their worlds so that our solutions are purpose-fit.
You mentioned the fact that you are managing how money flows, money coming in, money going out. Can you tell me how do I stop money going out my account? Because that's what I need an answer to. Give month end, guys, we know. You see the money for 2 seconds and then it is gone. But we'll come to you there with that. Pagama, Executive Vice President. Yes. Infrastructure, coverage. Babes, you need to explain.
Oh, wow. Honestly speaking.
I feel like you come from a family whenever she says she wants a thigh at the meal. She's like, kids can have a thigh. When executive vice president. We all come from those families, right?
So essentially my role is that of introducing your client into the bank.
Yes.
And actually getting the stakeholders into a bank, buying into your client strategy, wanting to fund their operations and actually fund their initiatives. But specifically in the infrastructure space. So where water, transport and logistics is concerned, all the infrastructure that actually houses the superstructure, which I call it, of all the other sectors. So you can't have cell phones and connectivity without Wi-Fi and data connectivity. You can't have water coming out of your taps if you don't have pipes and everything else that talks to water development. So that's really what I do. I introduce clients to the bank to my clients. And that's where the magic happens.
I love how you say that's really what I do, like it's so small when your role is actually so critical. And I love how you explained it, that you want water to come out the taps, but there's a whole thing that needs to happen. And you're part of supporting that. Finally, Rinze, who is another executive Wasai, Executive Vice President, Energy and Infrastructure, Investment Banking. Hi, Mo. Sana.
You'd think they give them out like sweets, but they don't. So I think from this panel, you'll see that the bank does...
Can you ladies hear her? All right, let's make sure we can hear her. I'm going to ask the team to give me a handout if we're not winning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Nice.
We can hear her now.
Okay, perfect.
Everybody say amen. Hallelujah. All right, let's try that again.
Yeah, so I was saying the bank does a lot of things, right?
Yes.
I personally take over from where Pakama leaves off.
Yes.
So in its most basic form, I provide funding to large corporates that are incorporated in investment banking. That's where everybody here works. And that's it. In the infrastructure and energy space. So when Pagama introduces them, they say they need funding. Pagama brings them to our team, and our team, we provide funding. It's a little bit more than that, you structure, you see whether or not it works. You make sure that the bank gets its money back because, we are in the business of making money. So that's what we do, provide funding.
Okay, I want to get into business because we know exactly why it is that we are here. Corporate is not an easy space. I don't work in corporate, but I work with many corporates. And my work allows me into spaces within people's minds and psychologies around corporate. And we hear so many horror stories. But one of the things that I'm always proud of is when people share with me the role that mentorship has played in their lives. I look at myself, I have been working behind the scenes for so long, and the people that gave me an opportunity, being a front of camera talent, to say she can be a production manager, she can become a producer, were always women. They were the women who pulled me aside and said, I'm going to teach you how to do a TV show budget. I'm going to teach you how to be compliant. I'm going to teach you how to sit and negotiate. Fast forward to me being a mom who was executive producing my own talk show, sitting in a room with my clients at the SABC, where I was getting ready to give birth. And they said, if you want to breastfeed on the show because you have a newborn, by all means do so. Wow. Now, these things are only possible when there are a group of women in the room. When you have a group of women in the room that are decision makers, you are able to sit with people that can have such conversations because the worlds bleed into each other. And we know when it comes to mentorship, you're not just saying, let me help prepare you for your interview, for your promotion. You're also saying, girl, I also needed a little cry in the car before I came out smiling up the escalators, going to pantry to get my coffee. Because it be real like that sometimes. Yeah. So I'm going to start on this side and go down the line. Lindega, just from your side, how can mentorship truly empower women to be heard and influence decisions and to lead with confidence? Because we also hear the stories. I will use the black woman narrative as an example. Doesn't mean it doesn't apply to others. Where people will say, yes, Lindega supported me, but the moment I was about to surpass her, it's like, girl, do well, but not better than me. Right? And the reason I'm using the black woman examples because those are the stories that have been shared, where we expect in spaces, not for there to be exclusions or anything in that way where race is an issue, but because sometimes you are in a boardroom where you find yourself being the only black woman, in the same way that Gillian might be in a room where she's the only woman. And you would like an opportunity that the person mentoring you and coaching you is not limiting you. Because a great mentor, what does a great mentor do? They train you to surpass yourself. So maybe help us understand what you would share are the challenges with mentorship, and what are the opportunities from your view? I get excited. I mean, some of my team members are in the room, and I've empowered them. They've left me. They've come back. They've left me. If I have trained you and you're not growing, I am failing.
I'm just thinking when I started, I'm a bit older than the rest of the crowd. When I started...
How? By like 4 months?
No, totally. I didn't even know anything about social media, just so you know. But I want to share one thing, because sometimes we think a mentor would be another black woman, and I just want to take my story. When I started trading, I worked predominantly with white males, Afrikaans males, and I was telling a story when we had SPG board securities on Thursday last week that there was no compliance when I started, so that tells you how old I am. And the people that I worked with were all of these men that genuinely look out for me, and actually even till today I still speak to. So those were some of the best people that I worked with that actually transcended race. And for me, what was important was the fact that we could actually have conversations where there were no areas that you didn't go to. But when it comes to our own space, and I think, especially when you come into the corporate world and in the financing world, it is tough, and I think having somebody that you can always bounce off ideas and talk to and sort of prep you up on some of the tough days is actually important. But more importantly for me, I always think people think mentorship is a one-way street. It actually isn't. Most of the people that I worked with and I mentored, I've actually grown with them and I've learned a lot from them. And I'll use one example that's currently in the room. There's an event that we're doing on Friday, also gender related. It was such a joy for me to reach out to one of the people who's now, I'll mention it by name just so I can embarrass her because I feel like it. Ukani, she's a global head of CFS now for mining. It was just such a pure joy to be able to reach out to her to say, listen, this is the person that I want because of X, Y, Z. Literally did not hesitate. We were in conversations till Sunday evening getting all these people. But it actually gives back, right? Today, she's the one giving back to me. And oftentimes, just give you another example. I was having a tough day because I think people think it gets better. No, it doesn't. I'm not going to sit here and lie. And one of the days I was having a tough day and I called her. I literally went to her house and she made me food and she gave me a book. And literally that day I felt heard, I felt seen, I felt validated. Because it does not end by just you doing for somebody else, they also do for you. So oftentimes we think it's a one-way street, it's not. And it's also such a joy because when they're winning, I'm winning. And I get to celebrate all the time. So for me, that is the value.
And I think that's such a fabulous way that you're sharing it. I'm just going to ask for help with a microphone because I'm absolutely struggling here. If I can get me on a handheld microphone, I'll appreciate that. But I love that you shared that because I think it also speaks to remaining teachable. Being a leader means that you need to remain teachable. You need to be able... Thank you. Oh, hallelujah. Thank you so much. It means you need to remain teachable. And one of the things I love, today I had in studio on my radio show on 702 afternoons, tune in from 1 to 3 p.m. weekdays. I had the youngest woman who is a car mechanic at 20 years old.
Wow.
And she was there with her mentor, a much older man by the name of Nico. And he learned on air when I asked her, how do you learn? And she said, sometimes I look at YouTube videos and I use ChatGPT. Nico, who is extremely old school, said, is that why you're always on your phone? So when we were done with the show, because he said he cannot even believe, he says, you need to learn things under the car. So when we got off air and I said, Nico, I'm going to challenge you. You want her to learn the antiques that you can't really search. You want her to learn that if you were driving a Beetle, you'd be able to stick your foot across and press the accelerator. I want you to learn technology. I want you to learn ChatGPT. Because why? He might not need it for his job as a mechanic, but maybe in your marriage, homie. Maybe you need a recommendation for where to eat when you're in Bloemfontein and your car is stuck. So now what does that mean? They're walking away with a mutual mentorship relationship. And I think it's so important that we take that attitude of remaining teachable. Gillian, for you, mentorship, what has your experience been and what have you learned? Because at some point you need to pass on the baton where you realize, oh my gosh, I'm becoming the mentor.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Lebo. So I'm just reflecting now. By the way, Leeds, I think I'm older than you.
We can debate that offline.
I've never heard of ladies fighting to be older than each other. No, I'm older. No, I'm old.
But the actual, what made me pause and reflect was when I joined Standard Bank Group, it was before Y2K, for those of you that might have still been in school or not yet born.
They don't know, don't worry.
But in those days, I had a mentor who at the time I didn't realize was a mentor. And it was a man. And this man made me realize that after growing up as a young girl in a single home, not knowing that I had a voice, all of a sudden I joined this incredible organization, and this man helped me find my voice. he was the one that said to me, you're going to stand up in that boardroom and you're going to do that client pitch. And it was incredible because I managed to grow and skip what they would call 2 grades in those years and achieve my management role within the space of less than a year. It was just absolutely mind-blowing. And to this day, that particular man still works for the organization. I'm very proud to say I saw him in the lift the other day. So that's another inspiring moment to reflect on. Then I'd like to reflect on another mentor who's currently mentoring me, and that is my existing line manager. That man is phenomenal. He has taught me how to lead with authenticity and how to lead with courage and how to actually sit back and listen to what others have to say. And it's only, like you said, Leeds, when you truly feel heard that others actually will then be able to respond and take in whatever guidance or mentorship you can give them. And then my last mentor, who's also currently a mentor, is our very own Pati, Tandiwe Lekwala, the head of the South African Transaction Banking team. This woman is phenomenal. She sits in our boardrooms, and even when she was chatting to us about our habits framework, I remember her distinctly saying to us, be the elephant. Be brave like an elephant. And it sticks in your head when you're sitting in those difficult meetings or when you're having a difficult conversation, be it with someone that you're working with, someone that you're mentoring, or even a client. That message, be the elephant, very powerful. So if I can in any way return that favor and inspire my team and others that come to us for leadership and guidance, and actually be able to say to them, you know, you can do it. You do have a voice. I hear you, and you can be the elephant.
Let's give a round of applause to the men who do take the opportunities when they come through to mentor us. I've also had some amazing men mentor me who had some difficult conversations to have with me about traits that we have as women and how they sometimes do not work in the workplace. That's why men get paid better than us outside of the broken system. How we approach certain conversations, like asking for higher pay.
Yes, then I get you.
Right? We are not good. I'll give you an example of when I would be interviewing candidates for my team, when I was producing Afro Cafe, for example. So you already have an idea of what the range is. So in a meeting, or in an interview rather, you'll get this junior who has never even interned. A young man, let's say he's 21, 22, and he's applying for the position of a production assistant, which is not entry level. It's somebody who still has an idea of how television works, but they're junior. And they'd come into the room, and when you say, let's say the range was 10,000 Rand, and you say to this young man, thank you so much, what are your salary expectations? They would not even blink. 15,000 Rand.
Yes.
So a 6,000 Rand man is telling me 15,000 Rand. Ne? Then the 20,000 Rand girl walks in. That woman, I'd say, what are your salary expectations? And she would say, you know, between, 10, 12, but even 8 or 7, it can work. What is the lesson, right? If you ask for 7K, but the allocated budget was 10, what are you gonna get?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen to the guy with 15K? What is he gonna get?
Yep.
No, he's not getting 15. He would probably get the 10, but the point is, we don't know how to appreciate our worth and attach it to monetary values. We struggle as women, and I think this applies as well in the financial sector. So we can learn a thing or two from the gentlemen in our spaces. They do not hesitate. It does not matter how mediocre, inexperienced, how much they know little. They will ask for what they believe they want and deserve. Whereas women, we ask based on our confidence level on that day.
Yeah.
So because your husband didn't kiss you goodbye, now you want 4,000. Do you see how it's a problem? Pagama.
I'm not in that WhatsApp group.
You're not in the WhatsApp group. Give her a round of applause. I want to quickly look at when individuals are sidelined. What advice do you give as a mentor? If a person, you mentioned feeling seen, feeling heard, and in a company as big as this, it's probably very easy to disappear into number mang in that open plan space. So if a person comes to you and says, I feel like I'm putting the ideas forward, but Bani keeps taking the shine, keeps taking the ideas, they know how to speak up. I wanted to lead that project. I'm not leading it, I feel sidelined. And also, I don't want to be a snitch. What do our age group refer to snitches as? Impi. You don't want to go to HR saying this person's taking credit for my work. Why? Because we understand the dynamics of what will happen. So what do you advise that person?
Wow. So I think firstly, you need to actually know and understand how to play the game. I have a colleague who's actually sitting here, and sometimes she says, we work with a whole lot of kindergarten children in corporate. But honestly speaking, being sidelined, I think, is a two-way street. Because one, it could be that there are people who are actively sidelining you, and two, it could be you kind of receiving it and not, showing up. So the first thing I'd advise them to do is start showing up. Start seeing the people who are stealing your ideas and actually kind of taking them forward. What do they do? And next time when you have an idea, keep quiet until it's opportune for you to actually say, kind of present your idea. Because in a corporate environment, if you're going to be constantly, the baby complaining, then there's a certain profile that's kind of attached with you. So learn how to play the game. That's really what I would say.
I'm so happy you're saying learn to play the game, because the reality is that there are titles, there's a formal hierarchy, but we know there are people who are influential, not the influencer that you guys are following and taking jobs abroad from them. Not those people? Ones. The ones that are influential, they influence the culture. They influence the energy in a room, which will do what? Affect your output, right? So if we are then to have a think, Renze, about the informal power, those dynamics in a building, how do you recognize them, and then how do you strategically and legally don't come burning things at work, guys. But how do you position yourself in a way that sets you up for success?
I actually think that's a very important question, and I'm glad you asked, because I was going to...
Can you ladies hear her?
Is it me?
All
it has
right.
to be me.
Audio, please do me a solid and let's pull up her microphone.
Come on, audio.
Okay, that's already much better.
There we go.
Thank you. We were talking specifically about mentorship, and your question touches on something very important, allies. So it's not only about formal mentors. I have a mentor, I meet them every second day or every second week. We need allies. We need allies that are not only women. We need allies that are men. We need allies across the board. You need an analyst that's an ally. In investment banking, we work very well with people in another division who provide our pricing commentary. Those people will turn your thing around in 2 minutes because you are a nice person to them. We need allies. You need people who are going to be speaking about you and for you when you're not there. It's not just a former mentor who's in a boardroom. You need someone who's going to be talking about you in the parking lot, at a braai, at a social, because those things count, especially where we are. If people speak for you and speak about you and speak about what it is that you are and what you bring, your authenticity, those things count. It's not just about, oh, it's REM time, the managers are going to be sitting in, listen, that's important, we all work for money, but I've got a mentor who sits in London and, here one day, and she is amazing. Whenever she's here, we have coffee, but she's grown from being a former mentor to a friend. That at last dinner we were talking about perimenopause, because I'm old and that's where I'm going to be going.
You are after youth, you are post-youth. You are not skip post-youth.
I own it, and those are the things to talk about. I had lunch today and someone came up to me and asked me, what do I do to be a you? I'm just like, you work. But you also talk to people like me, because I know that you are now a grinder. The next time we're looking to talk to someone, retain someone, the next time I know Kanye's looking for someone and Paul's looking for someone, I can recommend you. The thing about it is, we need allies, but we also need to be allies, right? We need to, and I pride myself in my accessibility. I'm open. I always say, and Pagama knows, I'm not a gatekeeper. Me, you want to have coffee with me? Come through. You want to chat? Come through. We need to be that to people. Men, women, we need to pave the way for those that come after us, even if the way wasn't paved for us. I do so because I do so because I've got amazing people. I've got amazing people. I've got an amazing boss that everybody knows I always talk about. So this is not a surprise. And is he here? He's there. He's not listening. But I have an amazing boss, and he's a man. And it's not about men, women, what that guy pushes and pushes and pushes. This version that everybody sees of me is the many difficult conversations that he has with me, the opportunities he presents. There'll be, there's going to be a big talk, and it'll be like, okay, you're doing that. He pushes me way out of my comfort zone, and he's an ally. He's not a formal mentor. He's just a person that wants to see me succeed. We need to have that, but we need to be that for those that come after us.
Yeah. I love that so much. Where's this amazing boss of yours? Can you wave your hand, boss?
He's shy.
Stand up. I'm coming to you for a job. What I also love just about what you said? The other day I was sharing, my team consists of makeup artists, assistants, production team. But one thing about my team, especially before setups like this, is I refer to them as my hype men. Because you need, when you're dressed, yes, queen! And then you're like, do my looks look, yes, queen! So I also hope you look within your home, within your family, because the support structure must not just live in the building.
Yeah.
The support structure has to continue where you go home, because the places where you lay your heads to sleep are your sacred spaces. So I hope my helper, bless her soul, when I travel, we brought an outfit that was going to dissolve me into this chair. She's on the phone arranging the outfit. When I get back home, she's going to want to see pictures of how I looked, and she'll be like, girl! And we need that, including the person at the cafeteria that knows you're on a deadline and is ready to quickly bring the coffee up to you.
Yeah.
We have a chef at our cafeteria. When I'm on air and I'm like getting tired, I send a WhatsApp, they bring my cappuccino to me. They're like, so our allies are everywhere, including the security guards, not just the people in positions of power.
That's
right?
true.
So the security guard, the cleaning lady, the receptionist that's going to fetch that package for you, even though it's against the rules, those that are going to support you, and the allies when you leave this building. You can't have a boss that hyped you up. Now you get home to a husband that's bringing you down. or a parent that is undermining what you're doing because you didn't send that money again. So I hope we are mindful that everything we do in these spaces, we're still human beings. You are wives, you are mothers. We're going to leave this building, including all of you. And that needs to resonate in the spaces you go to. Your little sisters must be feeling what you feel today.
Yeah.
And I have to just give a shout out to one of the hosts, Nzinga Kunta, a very good friend of mine. Many, many years ago, she was a model. From being a model, she always used to tell me how she wants to be in law. She then, at some point, was on SABC News, and she very recently got admitted as an attorney, and I'm so proud of her. It has been a very long journey, but she is those multi-degreed sisters who went from supermodel to broadcasting to chasing her dreams. So when we say why she leads, is because there is a cause bigger than ourselves. She is mother to a daughter, and when you are a parent, you become exceptionally mindful of what we do and the decisions we make, because our children mirror everything we do. So if my son, if I tell him don't do this, but I am doing it, it's going to be a problem. So if we're going to teach young ladies confidence, what does that mean? We need to be confident. That's how they're going to learn. I want to read some of the comments that have started coming through. We've got some gents, so shout out to those of you watching on Facebook. Jeff Excel says, powerful presence and powerful voice, celebrating women who lead with clarity, courage, and continuity. May this moment echo across boardrooms, communities, and legacy platforms. Hashtag empower her, hashtag Pan-African leadership, and hashtag Excel Genesis. Thank you so much, Jeff, for that one. Then we have Pehelo Morokeng on Facebook saying, celebrating our superheroes and helping us to function. We have also on Facebook, Asia Stjordana Njobodwana. Best thing to watch while navigating traffic. Well done, ladies. Big round of applause to all of you that are watching. And then, don't cry, don't cry. Somebody says, go mom, I'm so proud of you. This is Kirsty, Jillian's daughter, watching on YouTube. How does that make you feel, Jillian?
Oh, wow. Incredibly grateful and humbled.
Right?
Oh, my daughter is the apple of my eye.
Isn't it scary, ladies? Are we all parents here? Yeah. Isn't it scary how the level of who you want to impress changes, right? Yeah. And I don't know who wants to go first, but at what point did you figure out that switch about who you need to impress? So I got challenged at home that I put my best foot forward on radio at events, and then I come home tired with the low energy. I come home as like I depleted the 90% battery. Now the battery's on low, it needs to charge, and I bring that home. And I've really had to take a moment with all of that, which was so, so difficult for me. But I don't know, ladies, how do you find that balance? And I'm not sure who wants to go first.
I can go.
You don't know because you haven't found it.
No. It's funny because I have found it. It's not really a balance. It's just, for me, the two things are important, and at one point, this one will take precedence and the other one will take precedence. It's just really about balancing. A friend of mine, Balisa, I haven't seen her, she's here. Another friend of ours, another friend of ours, were meant to do this tour on Saturday, and another friend of ours, whose name I will not mention so I don't embarrass her, forgot it's her son's birthday. And I told Balisa this, and she was killing herself. And she says, you know, you moms just wing it. And we really do, right? There will be times when you do need to work late. I was having this conversation with Kanye earlier on. You do need to work late. You do need to do all of those things, and you do. But there will be times when I take my son to swimming. Yeah. And again, not to talk about my team and how absolutely great it is, but I work in a team and in an environment, and shout out to Standard Bank, because it's made it possible, and I cannot join another bank and I cannot join another team. I hope my husband is not listening, because
I'm like the other banks that were like headhunted in the comments are like, no.
No, but my team allows for that to happen. So if I wake up today, and I did a few weeks ago, we had a bereavement, and I woke up and said, Kiresh, I'm not coming to work today. I'm not coming to work this week. I'm available, but I'm gonna be home. And it's just like, okay, cool. The thing about it is, a team like that allows you to be the best of you in all circumstances. You can be the best mother that you want to be, and you can be the best professional, because they give you the space to do that. I've worked in environments where that wasn't there. You're just forever juggling. But here it is, and the bank, allows that, in that you are able to, not let so many balls drop all the time, because there is some flexibility.
Please, can I share the ball theory quickly with you ladies before we open up the floor for Q&A? And what I'll ask, we've got 2 roving microphones. If you've got a question while I tell the story, raise your hand and a microphone will come through to you. And I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, maybe tell us your department and your title if you feel comfortable to do so. But the ball theory, which I heard recently, and it's such a light bulb moment. So we all know the concept of dropping the ball. And what this person explained is that sometimes the balls are rubber and sometimes the balls are glass. And it's not always the same things or the same things at the same time. For example, on some nights, your son needing your cuddles is the glass ball you cannot drop because it will break and it will never be brought back the way it was. And on other nights, your presentation is the rubber ball that you can drop because it will bounce back up. And the reason this theory just was a light bulb moment for me is that I always thought I had to juggle all the balls and never drop them. And it gave me the permission I so desperately needed to sometimes say, this can wait. So I create periods for myself, and I call it being on a go slow. And this came after I had spent some time in hospital, because I struggle with knowing who I am when I'm not at work. And then you want to rush back to work and feel useful, like you have a purpose. So a go slow is very simple, where you're teaching yourself how to do nothing. How many of you grew up in a home where you were not allowed to sleep in? You always had to be cleaning. How many of you, by show of hands? Right? So what happened? We got older. Now my mother says, you don't rest. I'm like, girl, did you teach me how? So the go slow means, in the morning, I check what is urgent, important, and cannot not be done today, like invoicing time. I must be paid. Then that's all I do. Everything else can wait. And it does not require you to have a hospital stay and your doctor's begging you to take it easy to have a go slow. So use the rubber ball and the glass ball principle. You can drop balls. Just make sure you keep the glass balls up. Sometimes it's your husband because he missed you. Sometimes it's your boss because there's a deadline. And other times it's your mom, or it's that cry in the garage for an hour, or listening to your Mariah Carey CD in the shower for an extra 15 minutes. So when you speak about that dropping the ball, I can totally relate. I forgot to pay my son's karate tournament fees. If I tell you how heartbroken I was with my team. And I was like, I'm devastated because I feel like I failed as a mom. And a man will be like, what are you talking about? You failed as a mom. You're still a great mom. But we internalize that. So let's remember the balls that we can drop and the balls we need to grow to rise in corporate spaces.
Can I say something there?
Yes, please.
One of the things I think is also important is, giving ourselves grace. I think oftentimes we think we need to be these amazing mothers, amazing bankers, amazing all of this, to a point where you forget that you also need the same kindness that you extend to others. And sometimes it takes a long time before you appreciate that. And I think I've learned it late, but I think it's actually the best thing you can do
Yeah,
for yourself.
that's true.
And it allows you to show up as your best self to people. And I'll give you an example. Listening to Rensen, I'm just thinking that not all of us have the same kind of support. So our stories are going to be different. Some people are single mothers. Some people are all sorts of things. And I just look back and look at my son and I in our relationship today. And I was working in a training environment. My son, I used to drop him off at school in the morning at St. John's. And one of the things that was important was him understanding that the best thing I can give him is the best education that I can afford. And that meant sacrifices. And that meant that when I'm driving him to school, I need him to be looking at Bloomberg, and he actually learned how to appreciate and love investments. He'll be telling me what the NASDAQ has done, because my mommy's job was to get back and sit before 7 o'clock and giving clients feedback. But what it actually does is actually letting your kids know that you're not perfect, and if you're tired, you're tired. My son knows if he comes to my house on a Friday or he calls, the music is loud, he knows that's a leads time and will hook up on Saturday whenever it's available. But I just think that having your family know that you're a human being, that will require downtime, that will also drop balls, because it actually happens, is also good enough. Because sometimes we expect so much more of ourselves that we are our own self-enemies. And I think that is important.
I'm asking for a friend. As a mother of a 4-year-old, when do they start to understand?
I'm not at
20.
Those who know me know I'm not
at 20 something.
Actually, my son is, I was telling a story the other day, by 12, my son was, because my mom passed away when he was 39.
Yeah.
And I had this obsession that if something happens to me, I need my son to be okay. So by 12, this child was booking his doctor's appointments, and I'll sit with him, and I can be there, and I'll do things with him, and even when he was doing his A-levels and stuff. But it's genuinely, my son and I, even today, that kid will process everything just like I speak. Everything is a conversation. But it's really just how he also has to understand you as a person. Every time he'll come and say to me, oh, so-and-so's mom is doing this. I was like, well, you have me, unfortunately. I'm not so-and-so's mom.
Yeah.
Because we're human beings.
I've just found my motherhood mentor. I'll be coming to her about my 4-year-old. All right,
Just Zinga, by the way, I'm loving that you mentioned her. Since the podcast, I've adopted her. She's adopted me. And I'm also a big fan, and I love that she's now an admitted advocate. So I'll tell you that story.
Right, yes, and I said attorney, it is advocate.
Yes,
Please,
ma'am.
it is advocate. And I'm so glad you did that, because we need more and more people, especially in different spaces. Q&A is officially open. I see a hand this side. Please stand up, introduce yourself, your title. You are live on YouTube, Facebook, and everywhere across the world.
Hi, Sanmanani. My name is Mbali Mbata from City Press. I actually am probably the only woman in this room who's ever had Urelebukile being the interviewee, and I was the interviewer. Anyhow, I actually have a question about mentorship, but before I get to that, I just wanted to touch on what was discussed earlier about the disparities in the corporate world in terms of the gender pay gap. I actually read a book once that was titled Women Don't Ask, and it's very eye-opening in terms of the fact that I don't think necessarily it's about us not being confident enough to ask. Women have got money traumas that men necessarily don't. There was a time when women couldn't even open their own bank accounts. There was a time when men decided out of the salary how much to give the woman for her to spend on the dailies of the home. So from what I have learned when I was researching the gender pay gap is that I've discovered that there are some traumas, there are some things when it comes to the economy and financial things that women have experienced that are traumatic, that men necessarily didn't. And these have indoctrinated women to a point where we also believe that we are inferior to men. So to a certain degree, we kind of accept the gender pay gap as our reality. But to my question about mentorship, a young girl asked me if I could mentor her, and then we started the process, but I've just found that I've been very inconsistent. I struggle a lot with self-doubt. But my self-doubt is not necessarily just the normal self-doubt that people go through. I also read another book titled The Girl Who Survived Her Mother, and that's where my self-doubt comes from, because I have a similar story to the author. But I just want somebody to guide me in terms of how I can become more consistent in my mentorship, because again, I had another young girl who inboxed me on LinkedIn, and she would also like me to, she wants to shadow me for a few days. And because of my self-doubt, I know that people who are familiar with my work would think that this is something that would come easily to me, this is something that would come naturally to me.
Can I ask, so are you concerned, right, that the self-doubt is due to the inconsistency, or the inconsistency is creating self-doubt? And the reason I'm asking this, because I'm sure many women who get asked by anybody, can I just shadow you or spend time with you? It is intimidating, but also it requires your energy. For you, I mean, we experience it whenever we have interns that come to radio. You need to now, everything you're doing, you need to explain. And the reality is, which I had to accept, is I will never be consistent with my mentoring, but I'm going to give with the capacities that I have, because if I am going to measure myself on consistency, I'm going to fail. The nature of my work does not allow me to have a meeting once a month at this time, at this place, and what will happen, I'll end up not mentoring anybody. So the moment I accepted that I'm not going to be consistent, so I want you to ask yourself that question while I ask the ladies. If the self-doubt is because you've been able to be inconsistent, and if you consider the fact that being a journalist, you don't have a set time of working. So it's virtually impossible, and you might be holding yourself to a standard that is not feasible. So if you can say to yourself, I just want to mentor, even if that means offering one session, that's already better than no session. And then ask yourself, is the self-doubt because you think you're not worthy of mentoring, that you don't have information to share, or because your schedule is crazy and you're not giving yourself the grace to say, actually, this is all I can give. Maybe I'll see you once every 6 months, but I'll let you know. And I don't know who in the panel would like to. Okay, Gillian.
Thank you. I've done a bit of mentoring, and the very first time I got asked by someone to mentor her, I had the exact same reaction. Oh my goodness, why me? I can't be that good enough. Why does someone want to aspire to learn from me? And then you've got to rather turn it on its head. And you've got to say, if I can leave this person feeling somehow inspired, albeit from one interaction, maybe 2 or 3. And no mentoring process with an individual is the same. So you've got to have that first meet and greet. You've got to try and establish a connection with that individual, but more importantly, get to know who they are. Because once you've understood who they are, how they operate, how they feel, what their support structure is. I think Zen spoke about their tribe, if they have a tribe, who that tribe is made up of. It's actually more about us understanding them and then trying to figure out through our day-to-day how we can inspire them to be better versions of themselves. Just leave them feeling more inspired, albeit through watching what you do, or sometimes just by a suggestion that you make. Just leave people feeling better about themselves after you've interacted with them.
Thank you so much, Gillian. And remember, even if you can't do it yourself, I mean, my poor producers, sometimes when people want me to mentor them, I'll say, call my radio producer. I can't mentor you necessarily, but sit in the producer's booth and watch. Because obviously I can't explain my job while I'm on air. Okay, now I'm going to tell the listeners it's time for news. 1:30, time for Eyewitness News. But when they sit in the producer's booth, they watch me work, they listen to me on the monitors in studio, and the producer can say, around this time, is looking at her Facebook, her this, she's checking for feedback, she's this, and that's how they learn. So you can always find ways to get people for you to mentor people without it being time consuming. Because the higher you rise, the tougher it gets. Your capacity gets limited, and it gets harder to simplify what you do for somebody who's very junior. Are there any questions as we slowly come to a close? Any other questions? Oh, we've got a hand over here on this side, right at the front.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tepiso Leshoro. Nake ngwanana Mosotho hair. I'll be very brief. We spoke earlier. Oh, apologies. I'm in the public sector in client coverage. I'm an associate there. I work very closely with the lovely Pagama. What a privilege it is. And what a privilege it is to sit here amongst such powerful and beautiful women. My question is around the fact that we spoke quite briefly around playing the game. And I want to follow that up with a question around playing the game and the balance thereof with showing up authentically and going to bed proud of the person you see in the mirror at the back of that. How do we not lose ourselves in this game?
Yo, girl, young people say drops mic, spitting bars, because you also don't want to be fake. You also don't need to walk in pretending. Which of the ladies want to take this one?
Can I start?
Yes.
Okay. Since I opened the can of worms.
The game, but remain authentic and go to bed at peace.
Yes,
You don't want the tokoloshis of Buloi to be tickling you in your sleep because you did things that don't represent your values.
I think it's important to start out, yes, with your values, but I think more importantly with aligning with your purpose as you show up at work. Because when you are aligned with your purpose and you go to work and you do a job that you feel I am impacting, you actually can go to sleep, I think, first of all, comfortable from that perspective. But in terms of playing the game, what I really was talking about is when you see that there are corporate games that are being played that are disfavoring you, to the extent that you can keep your cards close and actually show up where you need to show up, then use that, because there's nothing devious about that. You've put in the work, they are your ideas, you can present them, so it's not as if you're going behind, closed doors, gossiping about people and doing all these things that bring about toxic and negative energy. So I think you need to be smart about where you show up and where you display what you do, and that's exactly what I was meaning when I said play the game. But in terms of gossiping about people, going behind people's backs, those things actually catch up. So more often than not, just do you at work, and I think that'll work.
And on your side?
I think.
Audio.
Come
if
on.
It helps, it's a man.
Come on.
It's a man.
I
If it
mean.
helps. Audio, do us a solid, please, with some sound. There we go.
So I think Pagama has nailed it. What I did want to say is the unfortunate thing about corporate, and I don't think it's corporate South Africa, I think it's corporate everywhere, is that just hard work isn't going to cut it. A lot of us just want to sit down, grind, and you think someone will see that I'm doing the work. So show up authentically as yourself, grind. I mean, we work in corporate and investment banking, you have to work, right? But show up for functions like this. When there is a mixer, show up for a mixer. When there is, when you're in a meeting, contribute. That's also playing the game. That because you think that I've done this presentation, I've put it together, Pagama knows it's me, Zen knows it's me, everybody should be okay. No. Someone who sits in GM doesn't know it's you. Clive doesn't know it's you. Anne doesn't know it's you. So, when there is an opportunity to play the game, but which is just, be visible, do that. But at the end of the day, we have to work and you have to be yourself. Show up as the best version of you, but be mindful of the fact that hard work on its own isn't going to get you there.
Yo, thank you so much. Ladies, can I, with your permission, propose something for us to walk away with that's not play the game. May I?
Please.
May I? I'm going to propose that we change the game. And I'm going to tell you why. A good couple of years ago, I was on Metro FM. And at the time of contract negotiations, the offer they put on the table, I was not happy with. Mind you, this was the beginning of COVID. So already, the concept of having a job was critical and unstable. When I was not happy, I got another offer at another station which I turned down, and I remember speaking to my manager who said, listen, the radio game is difficult. You have to stay on air for them to keep hiring you. And I said, it's nie reg nie. Something doesn't feel right, but also I'm yearning for conversations. So what did I do in the middle of lockdown? I called all my cameraman friends and said, I want to have conversations. Let's shoot something in my house. We'll put it on YouTube and see what happens. After we shot the first episode, the team said, no, man. Maybe on TV, I said, I get it, that's playing the game. It means I must go this route, that route. We finished over 3 days in my home. The art director looked for furniture in the house, and we put together a bit of a set. I had crew members. I said, I don't have money to pay you, but I'll give you petrol, airtime, and I'll cook, which I did. Got up early in the morning and cooked, and then got into hair and makeup. Fast forward a year later, when somebody on my team was trying to give this 13 episodes to SABC, and I said, they're wasting my time. I'm dropping it. Let's drop the promo. The day we dropped that promo, I was sent a contract from the SABC. And they didn't want 13 episodes. They wanted daily episodes. And that became Unpacked.
Yes, ma'am.
And when I say change the game, there's a concept called licensing. We were able to create an arrangement where I said, I'm going to give it to you, but I still want it on my channel because I want to own this property. It is mine. 203 episodes later, I still own that baby. Why I'm sharing this is because if I did play the game, I would have stayed in spaces that didn't speak to me as a person.
Amen.
So I chose to change the game and created a model that did not exist and that does now. So even when people say, no, legal takes months, finance takes, it happened in that day.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. So I'm going to challenge all of us. Are we going to play the game or are we going to change the game?
Change the game, ma'am.
Change the
Say,
game.
change the game.
Change the game.
One more time, change the game.
Change the game.
Because these corporate tricks were not built by us, so we will not maintain
Exactly.
We will not have other people inherit them. We are going to change the game. Because the way women lead and why we lead is not the same way the systems that have been built. It's not the same. We were never here to begin with. We were not the first clients of these banks. As was well said, we could not open bank accounts. So my challenge to all of you is to figure out how we're going to change the game. No one can ever say that's how it's been done. No one can ever say that's how we know it to be. You must change the game, or else the system will always not be in our favor.
So true.
And the system accommodates that if they've pleased one woman in one department, it means we've ticked that box. It needs to be at every single level. I think we've got one more question. In the audience, yes. Please stand up and introduce yourself.
Evening, I guess. I'm Linda Elwa from Investor Service Operations. My question, I think it's based on what Ridze said earlier about having allies and having people speak for you in rooms. Mine is, how do you get those people around you? Because I think, I speak for myself, I'm a person that believes in letting my work speak for me. But like she's already highlighted, that is not enough, because I believe the bank is very broad. There's a lot going on, and most of the time you get so busy and so consumed with what you're currently doing that you don't explore other options, and you don't, I don't know, get the relevant information, or you don't get the people that will speak for you in rooms. I'm not sure if my question is clear.
Oh,
okay.
I love these questions. I feel like we're in school. Mama, preach.
So I'll answer it, but I actually would like to open it to my panel members as well to deal with. Lindelwa, it is about, and I'm actually thinking about my allies, men and women, right? Some of them have been working on a transaction. You work so well together, someone knows that when they send you an email, you're gonna respond. I've got a guy in Beijing who swears by me, right? And that's because he messages South Africa and he'll get a response. He'll get me running pricing and giving him an answer without saying, oh, I'll let an analyst or an associate do it. So it is about showing up as yourself. But some of these things, yeah, you meet these allies. I'm actually looking across here and I'm like, you know, the person that is responsible for me being on this panel is a lady called Kabo that I work very well with, and a lady called Mpo. Mpo sits here, and Mpo is one of my biggest cheerleaders. I do not work with her in any way, shape, or form. We were on a course together, and she became one of my biggest cheerleaders, right? Gillian, I do not come across Gillian in any way, but we are on a golf clinic together that is being run by Tandiwe because she is promoting ladies, and I was recommended to that by Asha, who is now in transactional banking, and I used to work with her. So it actually is just people in your circle and making meaningful connections when you do interact with those people. It's not just about, oh, Pagama, we're gonna work together, we go off. Pagama is one of my very good friends, but actually we work together, and that has led to her calling me for all of her client meetings because, you know, she's just like, Ray, I'm gonna call you, I know you're gonna deliver, and I do, right? So it's Lindola, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but some people you work with, Muraro sitting there, I met this chick when she joined the bank. We worked on a very difficult transaction together. She is one of my closest friends in the bank. It's just about you make these connections in sometimes odd places, and you actually have to make them matter to you because those people, and it doesn't matter where they are. And you said it, you know, it can be the guy who does the coffee here, it can be just across the board, because those people, when you add all of that up, it actually counts.
Yeah.
I think also what will help you is tell people the things you want to do. That has really grown my career.
Yeah.
Is I will meet people in so many different industries, and I'll happen to mention, oh, I'm interested in doing a golf day. And suddenly people will be like, we've been looking for a woman's golf day. But if I didn't mention that, because half the time I think people want to talk about, you're that Noma Kikaba episode on Antar. Or, oh my gosh, that interview, or oh, that Miss South Africa that you produced. But sometimes you'll sit and say, you know, people don't know I have a charity organization. Let me talk about it, because that's when you spark the idea. Now you've mentioned something, and now you're top of mind. When that person gets told, hey, there's a Spani Bunny who's looking to sponsor a golf day because they organize, what are they going to do? They're going to say, hey, by the by, I met you networking after the Why She Leads in the Standard Bank building, there by the cocktail bar where we're going after this. And you mentioned so and so. So I think it's also important not to, what's nyata in English? Undermine and underestimate. Oh, you know, girl. You know what nyata is in English? I love this for us. But don't underestimate because a person just told you they're in tourism, that what you have to share might not have value or interest to them. A good place to meet people is on a plane.
Yes.
I know what you mean. But I'm just saying, when people make small talk with you, take the opportunity. You never know who they are and what they do. Ladies, this brings us to the end of our conversation, and we've gone over time, but for a good cause. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
I want to give such a big thank you to all of you for coming through, for engaging, for chatting. The work begins today. It begins now. The concept of why she leads, for you to be inspired to inspire, the work needs to start within. That's the work only you can do. There's no mentoring that's going to teach you to like yourself and to believe in yourself, right? So the work begins today. And I really hope that each and every one of you feel inspired by not just the phenomenal panel, but the women you're going to meet after this. I know you've got kids and hobbies to get to. I encourage you to mingle and meet people you wouldn't usually interact with, even if it's over a glass of something or some water. Use this opportunity. It is critical that conversations start at this level. It's the only way we're not just going to change this institution and grow it. It's the only way we're going to change our country. So ladies, thank you so much. All the gentlemen working, let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much to our crew. Thank you so much to each and every one of our panelists that came through. Ladies, you're phenomenal. I feel like we could have spoken for 3 more hours. I'll be stalking each and every one of you actively to just keep the conversations going. To all of you watching on Facebook, all of you watching on YouTube, and all of the social media platforms as well, make sure you spread the word. The conversations will remain available. The podcast is called #WhySheLeads. Go and catch up if you have not seen any of the episodes. And the final thank you, Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking. Thank you so much to you and for having me as well, but also having this conversation. May it be the first of many. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lebogile Maboja. Until next time, it has been such an honor facilitating and hosting this conversation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.